ESPN. Now, I grew up watching SportsCenter. I'm sure you grew up watching SportsCenter. It was just something we did as dudes, right? At the end of the day, you watch SportsCenter and you see the highlights and the top 10 list and everything else. ESPN is now this, quote, baseball barbecue and losing freedom this 4th of July. Setting aside how stupid that is, Curtis, isn't that bad for business? Aren't we the business model for ESPN?
We should be, but instead we got Elle Duncan, a Sports Center anchor who, she and her colleagues during the women's March Madness tournament taking moments of silence for the parental rights and education bill in Florida. Or, Howard Bryant, who the writer of this piece that you're referring to, had a special, teed up on a special about Bubba Wallace. Talking about how white America and the NASCAR world don't understand him, even though I'm not sure if Howard Bryant has been anywhere near a NASCAR track. And that's the problem with ESPN. They're so much more interested in going with the Disney corporate woke liberal overlords and communists instead of actually talking about the sports. You would think liberals would eventually learn their lesson. We see this with movies. They do all this lesbian stuff with Buzz Lightyear. That movie flames out. Top Gun does well. Minions does well. It's the same thing with sports. If you stick to sports, the X's and O's, you get great success. No wonder no one watches the WNBA anyway, because very little of a WNBA game or coverage of the sport actually involves X's and O's. It's too much talking about how someone's taking a day off, as a player did for the Mystics a couple years ago, because of their mental health, because the George Floyd protests were so inspiring and his death was so disturbing to her.
Curtis, all ideology aside, don't they like money? I like money. I mean, I believe in the things I say, but I prefer to make some money while I do it. I mean, money's nice, is it not?
Right. It's the same thing as Brett Kavanaugh, when libs were horrified by Brett Kavanaugh saying, "I like beer." The horror. He likes beer. The same thing. They're lying to themselves, I mean, that's the whole point. That's you have with climate change. They're saying you need to spend less and you need to have less clothes, as Bloomberg said recently. But they're going to keep doing their thing. Barack Obama is still going to have his mansion in Martha's Vineyard. It's the same sort of thing. They claim that money doesn't matter to them. Yes, money does. That's why all these corporations are paying for women to go get abortions in all these states that are still keeping abortion, because they would much rather pay them the couple $1,000s to go get an abortion and come back having killed their child than have them work and have to pay for family leave or help pay for adoption, which would probably be a lot more money.